It is Thursday, November 27th, 2025. We are in Helsinki at West Terminal 2. Finlandia, operated by Eckerö Line, is the ship I am traveling on today. In this video, I take you along on a classic Baltic Sea crossing from Helsinki in Finland to Tallinn in Estonia, just over 2 hours across the Gulf of Finland. For those who prefer it completely pure, the full crossing is also available in the JustFerries YouTube members area, plus some extra shots and details. Let's get started. Finally, ferry time again. The ticket was booked online at home. One less thing to worry about. This is exactly the moment that makes my heart beat a little faster. You know, that sweet spot where the excitement builds because it's finally time for another ferry voyage. What some folks see as pure transport, but for me, pure, unadulterated fun. From here on, everything runs through one QR code inside the Eckerö Line app. It covers check-in and works at every gate. A remarkably smooth process. West Terminal 2 is part of Helsinki's West Harbour. It is Finland's busiest passenger port. This terminal handles most of the fast ferry traffic to Tallinn, including Eckerö Line and Tallinn-Silja. The terminal opened in February 2017. It was completed ahead of schedule and under budget. I am still not entirely over that. Turnaround times here are short, just about an hour between arrival and departure. Before boarding, there's one more ticket check, fully automated. The ship does not wait for people. People adapt to the system for that seamless sail. Finlandia is an old acquaintance. For many years, she sailed in the Mediterranean as Moby Freedom. I saw her often on the Sardinia routes. This is how she looked many years ago, in Olbia, Sardinia. She was built in 2001 in South Korea. At that time, she sailed for Moby Lines together with her two sister ships. A fourth ship of this series joined Tallink several years later. She is back in Mediterranean service today, but that is another story. Finlandia has been in northern waters since late 2012. Musical notes and the colors of the Finnish flag. A subtle reminder that this is a ferry with a remarkable amount of live music. Through the gangway entrances, passengers board on deck 6 as pedestrians. From here, most routes inside the ship begin. To the left, the large supermarket. Straight ahead, the information desk and the conference area. And from here, the central staircase leads upward toward most of the public spaces. Just a brief overview. Deck 9 is the open sun deck. Decks 8, 7 and 6 are the passenger decks. This is where most public functions are located. Shops, restaurants, lounges and public facilities. Decks 3, 4 and 5 are the vehicle decks. Cars, trucks and loading spaces. We begin the short tour on deck 7. The first approach leads through a long corridor. At the end of this corridor, one of the defining features of the ship begins, the nosturi bar. Not on one deck, but on 2. Deck 7 and Deck 8, a space that opens upward and immediately changes the scale of the interior. Every day there is live music, Finnish headline artists, popular singers and professional cover bands. On weekends and during the summer season, the program usually expands. Jazz, lounge music and Latin rhythms. Live music is not limited to the nosturi bar. The pub Telaka is located on Deck 8 on the starboard side. Music continues there as well. There is one more area that extends over 2 decks, at the stern. The Cafe and Bar Satama, a space designed for looking aft. Long views over the wake and open water behind the ship. Who would not choose to sit here and watch the sea? The buffet Eckerö is located on Deck 8. It probably offers a very impressive selection. I cannot confirm that. I did not go inside, so this part of the ship remains a purely visual experience. In addition to the large supermarket, which I show later, there is another shopping option on board. The pop-up shop located on Deck 8. There are 2 more bars on Deck 8, the Naisa bar and here the Paja bar. I hope I pronounced that correctly. My Finnish is at best unreliable. and I am not entirely sure whether this is Finnish at all. It may simply be a creative decision from the marketing department. Now feels like the right time to go outside. Fresh air, nothing more. At this point I am slightly confused. I cannot reach the railing. For 99% of passengers, this probably does not matter at all. For this channel, it matters a lot. Because this is, quite literally, what I am here for. And at the moment, the ship is not cooperating. The seagulls look relaxed. Clearly, someone approves of the situation. The main engines are running and departure is close. There is one very important travel tip for the Helsinki to Tallinn ferries. They often leave earlier than the official schedule suggests. Today, departure is listed as 15:15, but Finlandia is already underway at 1500. Do not arrive too late, otherwise the schedule will already have made a very clear decision. Even though most viewers are probably not very interested in the sufferings of the cameraman, I can confirm that the cold is quite biting, and for a brief moment I begin to suspect that from a certain point of view it might actually make sense not to stand too close to the railing after all. Today, being outside is simply unpleasant. There's far more wind than these images might suggest, like a sneaky gale that's auditioning for a horror movie soundtrack. The original sound quickly turns into something like... Don't let the cozy lounge music fool you. This is cold, and really only suitable for true northern types. The kind of people who go ice swimming in winter. I admire them. From a safe distance. Out here on the sun deck there is a man with a remarkably large boombox. Copyright prevents me from playing the sound. Volume, however, is not in question. I begin to suspect that he has interpreted the musical notes on the hull of this ship as a personal invitation to work here as the official onboard DJ. Eventually there are places where the wind no longer wins. The boombox is also defeated. We are already several nautical miles away from the harbour and bunker operations still seem to be in progress. This must be a remarkably long bunker hose. Of course, I do understand the intention. Strong wind, and then possibly a slippery deck on top of it, would probably give the company's insurance managers a headache. Because you know how it works. If people can fall, at least one person will, and the risk of injury is usually not exactly low. Did you know that sea air makes people hungry? At least it certainly does that to me, and I usually enjoy trying the food on board. This time, down to deck 8, the bistro and cafe at the stern, where a big monitor immediately caught my eye with exactly what I craved, a proper bacon cheeseburger. You can say whatever you like about the appearance, but in terms of taste, this little cutie is the best burger I have ever had on a ferry. After this brief culinary highlight, and with a final compliment to the cook who created this small work of art, it is time to move on toward one of the central places on this ship, the supermarket, which is remarkably large. Because for me, a ferry crossing does not only include a visit to the self-service restaurant, it also includes the purchase of one very specific white chocolate. I will not mention the name. It is triangular, and it comes from Switzerland. Properly equipped, the destination harbor of Tallinn could now slowly begin to come closer. And then, it suddenly comes back to me. There are musical notes on the hull of this ship, which in retrospect is a rather obvious hint that there must be music somewhere on board. Not only from the boombox on the sun deck, an entirely new theory begins to form. And here, I find the confirmation of my new theory. Live music in the Nosturi bar. For a ticket price of only 23 euros one way, and even 20.5 when booking a return trip, this is quite honestly a remarkable level of quality to receive as a passenger. I am, by the way, making new friends again. This occasionally happens when filming on ferries. An elderly gentleman now informs me that I am blocking the way in Estonian, which is unfortunate because I do not speak Estonian either, which leaves a certain amount of room for interpretation. Whatever the exact wording is, the message seems clear. My filming activities are briefly suspended, and I decide that this is a good moment to withdraw in the interest of public harmony. So, I am outside again, back near the boombox. The sound you hear now is, of course, a reconstruction, for copyright reasons, but it is approximately accurate. The decibel level is probably similar to the one in the engine rooms. The temperature, however, is not. On the positive side, I am not blocking anyone here. There is hardly anyone around. We are free to develop our own theory. Either this area is empty because of the icy temperatures, or because a man has decided to run his personal music festival right here. Both explanations seem entirely reasonable. So, back again to the area behind the funnel, a place that has proven remarkably reliable. And now, let us finally enjoy the calm and the quiet pleasure of this crossing, before something else decides to happen. At this point, some of you, like me, may finally wish to enjoy the rest of this crossing in peace, but there is no particular reason why your situation should be better than mine. Because I stand here for barely 1 minute and the next gentleman appears. Again, in Estonian. Again, I am left to construct my own version of what he might be asking. This time, he seems to be asking whether he is allowed to smoke. As long as the smoke does not drift in front of my lens and turn these images into a steam bath or a small steam locomotive, I am perfectly relaxed about it. At this moment, I am quietly hoping that I may finally be allowed to simply enjoy this crossing, which, statistically speaking, is an ambitious expectation, because Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, is already in sight, and the final approach has begun. Tallinn is one of those ports that has been busy for an unusually long time. This is the old city harbour, once a Hanseatic trading centre. Today, it is one of the busiest passenger harbours in the Baltic Sea. More than 8 million passengers pass through this port every year. And it remains the main maritime entrance to a city that has a long tradition of receiving visitors. They also have very respectable Christmas trees and very respectable icebreakers, which is, when you think about it, a rather practical combination. This is Passenger Terminal D. We, however, are aiming for the neighboring Terminal A. The skyline of Tallinn is a mixture of medieval towers and modern ambition. This city is sometimes called the City of Spires, for rather obvious reasons. Some of these towers have been struck by lightning many times over the centuries. They are still here, which I choose to interpret as a form of Estonian persistence. Unfortunately, I do not have a spotlight powerful enough to show you what the view from up there is supposed to look like. You will, for the moment, have to trust my storytelling. The temptation is rising. I would very much like to get better footage of the berthing maneuver, but this barrier chain with the sign "Bunkering in Progress" is looking at me like a physical manifestation of my own lack of self-discipline. I am now bending myself considerably far over this barrier chain, very far, and then all remaining resistance collapses. Just once to step across, just once to stand at the railing of this ship, just once to look down over the edge. For this brief moment of illegal happiness, I now decide that an immediate escape is required. I head toward the exit at a highly professional speed before I am personally presented to the captain. I leave this ship with a very good feeling. The journey is enjoyable. The price level is comfortably in the lower range of today's ferry crossings. The ship makes a consistently good impression, right until the very end. Very impressive is the entire boarding process, from booking to check-in. Right after payment, the QR code is available, and boarding works without any complications. Simple, direct, efficient. The musical program on board is extensive. Live music in the bar, live music in the pub. And as for our friend with the boombox on the sun deck, we shall, in the interest of international stability, not return to this subject any further. Finlandia is a rather special ferry. Throughout her life, she avoids the usual, sometimes boring white hull. At the beginning, there was a very large and very confident Moby logo. For many years after that, there was a period of Looney Tunes characters in full comic style. And for quite some time now, there are the colors of the Finnish flag and musical notes. This makes the ship a very distinctive and rather likable sight. I enjoy this very much. Eckerö Line is a comparatively small company. One ship on this route and one more on a slightly more eastern line. It appears that they have found exactly the right niche, and they fill it with a very sympathetic Finlandia. And as for me, I now enjoy a short walk to my hotel. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed this crossing. Until next time, goodbye.